Hi, I'm Melinda. So if you clicked on this video, then you already know what to expect. You are expecting to see a video of me sharing about how my home was becoming an idol. But maybe what you don't know is, how could that be? How could someone's home actually become an idol? Is that even possible? I assure you, it is. I think one of the reasons why we might wonder how it's possible that our home could become an idol for us, I think it could be because we don't fully understand the concept of what idolatry really is. Now, our first instinct when it comes to idolatry is thinking about worshiping something other than God, which that is true. Probably what we are more specifically thinking of is idolatry in the form of worshiping idols. Let me just read you this little passage of scripture. This is Exodus chapter 20, verses 1 through part of 4. Okay. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself an image in the form of anything in heaven or on the earth beneath or in the waters below. You shall not bow down to them or worship them. I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God. If that's what you're thinking of when you're thinking about idolatry, you're right. That is definitely idolatry. But you see, idolatry can really be anything that we allow to come between us and God. Let me just read to you this little passage from Colossians chapter 3. It is verses 1 through 5. Okay. Since then, you have been raised with Christ. Set your hearts on things above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of God. Set your mind on things above, not on earthly things. For you died, and your life is now hidden with Christ in God. When Christ, who is your life, appears, then you also will appear with him in glory. Put to death, therefore, whatever belongs to your earthly nature: sexual immorality, impurity, lust, evil desires, and covetousness, which is idolatry. So Paul is saying here that covetousness or greed, depending on what your translation is, covetousness is idolatry. He is saying that this is something that begins in the heart. It's something that we want. It's something that we covet. Idolatry is anything that we want or desire or wish for more than we treasure the Lord. So as I was just looking up idolatry, what the definition is so that I could explain it in a better way, I came across an article written by John Piper, and he was answering the question, what is an idol? Why are they dangerous? And what does an idol look like in today's world? And I just want to read his quote because I thought it was so good. And I feel like it kind of gives some context into what I am going to share with you. Okay, John Piper, Desiring God. What is an idol? Well, it is the thing. It is the thing loved or the person loved more than God, wanted more than God, desired more than God, treasured more than God, enjoyed more than God. It could be a girlfriend. It could be good grades. It could be the approval of other people. It could be success in business. He goes on to list a bunch of other things that could be considered an idol for someone. And then he ends with this. It could be your looks. They could even be an idol. It could be anything. So in light of that explanation of what idolatry is, let me explain to you how I was realizing that my home was becoming a form of idolatry to me. Now, I am going to try to keep this really short and really succinct, but I do need to be able to share with you a little bit of the background story so that you can understand the reasoning as to why it was becoming an idol. I just did a video just last week with maybe a little bit more explanation. If you feel like you want a little bit more context, it'll make sense as we go along. I will share that video at the end of this one so you could go back for even more context. Okay, let's go. So 3 years ago, we moved from my hometown of Whitecourt, Alberta, all the way up to a tiny fly in, fly out, very remote community in the Northwest Territories, just 150 kilometers from the Arctic Circle. That brought with it a lot of emotional ups and downs and a lot of, at times, loneliness. So the reason we moved was because my husband works in oil and gas, and we got transferred here for his job. Now, we got transferred here because the company that he works for in Whitecourt, they shut down. So the position that he is in, it is not a permanent position. So this is not a permanent move for us. We are living in a company house. It doesn't belong to us because it is just meant to be short term. 3 years so far. We'll see how short term it actually is. Anyways, because the company sold in Whitecourt, we are not going back there when he finishes up here. So we sold our house in Whitecourt. But we wanted to stay in the market because, we weren't going to be buying a house up here. So we decided to buy a house in Edmonton, Alberta. Norman Wells, it's beautiful. It is raw and rugged and mountainous. It's beautiful. It is beautiful here. There are things that you can access that you cannot access anywhere else in Canada, like literally from your front door. It's like being in a national park that you don't have to pay to get into. So I love that. I love that about Norman Wells. But there's some things that I don't love about Norman Wells. It is small. It's like 500 people. There are no amenities here. There are no coffee shops. There are no fast food joints. There's 2 kind of little grocery stores, but it's very expensive. And the grocery items that you can get are often very limited. Just as an example, I've been trying to buy some whipping cream for the past 2 weeks and I can't get any. There's not a lot of amenities here. And I know that's not the end of the world, but it does. I do miss some creature comforts, right? I do. So anytime that we fly out, I will usually stay about 2 weeks longer, and then I can just kind of go and spend a little bit of extra time with my daughter, or go and spend a little bit of extra time with my mom. And it's good. It's good. So I'm so thankful for the fact that we have this house in Edmonton so that I'm not, relegated to staying with family everywhere that I go. I have my own place to go to, but it's not the perfect setup either. The house definitely does need some renovations. And so every time we go out, we are always doing some form of renovation. And it's a lot of work. We're busy. We're busy when we go out because we will go and see family as much as possible. Then when we come back, we are always doing some form of renovation. And then before we actually fly back to Norman Wells, it's just like a mad scramble of going out and getting groceries and stuff because, like I said, I can't get whipped cream here. So we stock up on groceries and we get everything shipped back. It's crazy. It's kind of crazy. So every time after we are out, after we've been out for a little while, I am so ready to get back here. I want to come back home. I want, some quiet. I want some rest. I don't want to be running from here to there and there to here and working on renovations and buying groceries and more groceries to stock up to bring back here. It's a lot. And so I'm always very anxious to get back home. But then when I get back home, after the first couple of weeks of, woohoo, I'm home, it's quiet, I've got my space, I love it here, sometimes the loneliness sinks in and I can miss the creature comforts. And especially when it is winter and it is cold here, -40, -50 with wind chill, the walls of this house can feel like they are closing in on me. And then I am just longing to fly back out to Edmonton again. Are you sensing a pattern here? It feels so much like whenever I was in Norman Wells after the first few weeks, I was aching to go back to Edmonton. But then when I was in Edmonton after the first few weeks, I was aching to come back to Norman Wells. It kind of felt like I was never really home. So now at this point, you're probably asking yourself, okay, in that situation when you were never really happy in Edmonton, never really happy in Norman Wells, felt like you were never really home, how the heck could you see your house as a form of idolatry? Okay, let me explain. It wasn't my house that I was seeing as a form of idolatry. It was my home, or to be more precise, the lack thereof. The fact that I didn't actually feel at home in either place. I was longing for and idolizing the idea of one place, one home that made me feel like, yes, this is it. This is where I belong. I was longing for a sense of safety, hope, security, a sense of belonging to an earthly thing. I was not longing to find that from Jesus. That's when I realized that I had made my home, or my longing for a home, an idol in my life. It was something that I desired more than I treasured Jesus. I realized it was idolatry. But here's another thing that I realized. I realized how ridiculous it was that I was longing for that, like not so much one place to live, but for the security and the safety and the belonging that I thought that would offer me, when in reality, and I know this, I knew this, I guess I just kind of forgot it, this world is not our home. We don't belong here. And as Christians, nowhere on this earth, no house, no home should feel like true home to us, because it isn't. Our home is with Jesus for eternity. That is where we belong. Now, please understand me. I am not at all trying to imply that we can't be homemakers that love making our house into a home, that love making it beautiful even. It is good. It is good to do that. We just can't idolize that above Jesus. And see, that is what I was doing. And that is the whole premise of why I really wanted to start this YouTube channel in the first place. See, I don't want to live in this world like it is my final home, because it's not. I want to remember that I am just a sojourner here. I am just a pilgrim. This world is just a stepping stone to heaven. And everything that we experience here is really meant to prepare us for eternity with Jesus. And I want to be able to keep that proper mindset. You know, I want a heavenly mindset, not an earthly mindset. And the thing is, when you have a proper mindset, when we are thinking of eternity rather than just the temporary, when we are, storing up for ourselves treasures in heaven rather than treasures here on earth, then it helps us keep things in that proper perspective, and it helps us keep Jesus on the throne rather than replacing it with something different, like for me, my home, or my desire for a home. So I don't always get it right. I have made a lot of mistakes, but oh man, I have learned a lot of things, and as I strive to store up for myself treasures in heaven and really to keep the time that I spend here on this earth in proper perspective, I really would love to be able to encourage you if that is something that you too are striving towards. So if that's something that you are looking for in your life, I would just really love to have you be a part of this community. It is just so good when we are able to encourage and to support one another. That's what we do as Christians, right? We walk together through this earth. We're not there yet, but y'all, we are almost home.